Okay, number 10 is about the reactions that occur in biochemistry and organic chemistry. I'm going to go through it kind of quick. I'm going to try to get the whole thing done because we're not going to spend a ton of time because these can get super complicated, and that's not what we do in this class, but I did want to show you them, okay? So when you're talking about organic reactions, again, we're going to talk about things that occur in living things, all right? So oxidation reduction is one. It's called a redox. This can happen in living things and non-living things. But basically what happens is you transfer electrons from one reactant to another. So what's going to happen is they're going to change their oxidation, their charges, if you remember that from writing compounds. The reactant that loses electrons is said to undergo oxidation. And one thing to remember, oxygen is not the one that goes through oxidation, okay? Usually oxygen goes through reduction. And I'll show you. The reactant that gain electron is said to undergo reduction. So what's going to happen is, let's say iron goes from +2 to +3. Okay, it gained a positive charge, or basically it lost a negative charge. So it lost electrons, so it's oxidized. If it went from +3 to +2, then it would be reduced. Okay, so when you lose electrons, it's oxidation. When you gain electrons, it's called reduction. One way we always think of it is oil rig. Oxidation is loss, reduction is gain. And when we talk about that, we're talking about electrons, because really they're the only things that move around. The protons and neutrons in the nucleus, and they can't, okay? So if it's in an inorganic reaction, the charges will change, and it's really easy to see. It's really straightforward. Like in this one, magnesium goes from 0 to over here, it's +2. Hydrogen right here is 0, and over here it's +1. So since they change their charges, magnesium goes from 0 to +2, it's oxidized. Hydrogen goes from +1 to 0, it's reduced. Okay, so it's really easy in an organic reaction to see these. And if you've taken 121 or 122, we talk about these, okay? But we're not going to spend a lot of time with them. The thing to remember in an inorganic reaction, it's really easy to tell. It's just a change in charge, okay? If you're in an organic compound, you have to keep track of the movement of the hydrogen and the oxygen, okay? So when you have oxidation, the loss of electrons, basically what's going to happen in an organic reaction is you're going to decrease hydrogen atoms, or you're going to increase oxygen atoms, okay? So oxidation is an increase of oxygen or a decrease in hydrogen, and that's all it occurs. Like in an inorganic, it can be metals, it can be all kinds of things that happens to. But in an organic reaction, it's just the hydrogen or the oxygen. Okay, so if you have reduction, you're going to gain electrons, you're going to become more negative. So you're going to increase the hydrogen atoms, or you decrease the oxygen. Okay, so that's the only way you have oxidation reduction in organic is with hydrogen and with oxygen. Okay, in your book you'll see these are common oxidizing and reducing agents. You'll notice these, the bleach, oxygen, hydrogen peroxide, these tend to be disinfectants. Okay, and then down here we have like vitamin C and some vitamins and other, these are reducing agents, and they move, again, they move the hydrogen and the oxygen around. Okay, here's some common oxidation reductions that occur in your body. If you have alcohol, where it's, here they say that's tertiary, there really is no reaction with them. You have to have a number, a primary or secondary, and they can move, again, they can move them around. With the first one, you can get an aldehyde. Remember, that's double bond OH. And then you have, by R, they mean like a propane group or an ethane group or something like that. That's what they mean by the R. Okay, so if you have it on the end like this, it can produce an aldehyde, or it can produce a carboxylic acid, where you have double bond OOH or double bond OH. That's the difference between these two. If you've got it here, we have two R groups, okay, now you can only produce a ketone where you get a double bond O. It's going to be in the middle, okay? And then if you have three R groups there, it won't produce anything. So when you're doing oxidation reduction, it only happens with a primary or secondary alcohol, okay? The thing to remember about oxidation reduction reactions when you're talking about inorganic, they can produce what they call free radicals, and free radicals can cause some problems. These are molecules or atoms that have an odd number of electrons, and they can float around in your body. Okay, they're very unstable and you really don't want them. So you want something to grab hold of them and take care of them. And that would be your antioxidants. And I'm sure you guys have heard about that with like vitamins, and there's certain foods. There's super fruits like raspberries, blueberries, blackberries. There's some of them, they're called super fruits because they have lots of antioxidants, or they sell a lot of vitamins, or even like drinks and stuff that have antioxidants in them. They have things that grab those free radicals so they're not just floating around. Because if they're floating around, they can cause chain reactions that damage your cells. Okay, so you don't want those free radicals. You want them locked up, and that's what antioxidants do. And they do it through oxidation reductions. Okay, antioxidants are reducing agents, and they're capable of stopping those chain reactions. Vitamin C and vitamin E are your best antioxidants, they say. Okay, I don't know what glutathione is. I've never heard of it, so I'm just going with C and E. If you guys know what that one is, go for it. But you'll see these in, like I said, they advertise them now in drinks and supplements and all that. They have antioxidants, and what they do basically is they stop the chain reactions of oxidation reduction reactions. Okay. Cells can also contain enzymes whose primary function is to take care of those free radicals. So we do have some enzymes that our body makes to take care of them, but it never hurts, I guess, to have the extra boost there. So I guess take your vitamin C and vitamin E, and it's best to get it from your diet. But if you don't have a very good diet, then it's best to take the supplements, I guess. Okay, here's some more. Another type of organic reaction is called esterification. Esterification, we would have done this lab if we would have got to. You take an acid, a carboxylic acid, and an alcohol. You mix them together, and you add a catalyst, and usually the catalyst is heat. So we would have put them in test tubes, stuck them in boiling water, and let them, cook for a little bit, like 5-10 minutes. And then they would produce an ester and water. And we usually would put sulfuric acid in there too. And the reason why we put sulfuric acid in there is because it dehydrates a little, gets rid of some of the water so that the smell is better. Because what esters do is they have wonderful aromas. They start out with stuff that doesn't smell so good, and you end up with flavorings, and they can smell like candy, they can smell like lemon, they can, all kinds of different nummy smells. Okay. And there's other ones here with amines and thiols. We didn't really talk about these so much. So really, this is the big one right here. You can make esters. You can make thioesters. The only difference with a thioester is you have a sulfur here instead of an oxygen. And again, we didn't talk about that, but that's the big difference. Or you can make it with an amine here. Okay, it's kind of the same thing. They're all carboxylic acids. You just have a different second reactant, and then you get your products. Again, these are common organic reactions. Okay. Okay. So the esters and the thiol esters, again, the only difference is a sulfur. They're formed either with an alcohol or a compound called a thiol that has sulfur in it, and a carboxylic acid. The catalyst is usually, like I said, heat. Okay, so if you're going to do it, you write the carboxylic acid, and then you have your alcohol. Okay, and then when they do that, if you notice, they're always pointing to the left. Okay. And then you end up with your two products, and your products is going to be either an ester or a thiol, and you're going to get water as well. And again, like I said, most of the time when we do an esterification reaction, we will add sulfuric acid. Sulfuric acid is a great dehydrating agent. In other words, it will get rid of a lot of the water, so you concentrate that smell. And they do this in industry when they make fragrances, stuff like that. They make esters. Okay, so again, this happens in your body as well with a fatty acid, which is part of your lipids, and glycerol. You put these two guys together and you get a triglycerol. Okay, so this is a reaction that occurs in your body. Okay, you don't have to do it in the lab, but again, you have a fatty acid and glycerol, and you put them together and you get a triglycerol, which is important for your body, like cholesterol. I know you think cholesterol is just bad, but you need some cholesterol. Okay, cholesterol you'll find on the padding in your nerves and stuff. So you have to have some cholesterol. You don't want, too much cholesterol, which most of us have too much cholesterol, but you do need some cholesterol. Okay, there's another type. It's called hydrolysis. Okay, water, lysis. It's breaking down things using water, basically, and it is the most common reaction that occurs in your body. and biochemistry. One of the first steps in the digestion of proteins to amino acids. Okay, when you eat a hamburger, you're eating protein. Your body cannot use protein like that. Instead, what it has to do is it has to break it down into its smaller parts, which are amino acids. Then we take the amino acids and we make the proteins that we need. Okay, so for that to happen, the first thing that has to happen is hydrolysis. The proteins have to be broken down into their amino acids. Another one is when we convert fats into fatty acids and glycerols. Again, that's another first step that can occur. So there's, with all the biomolecules, with proteins, with fats, with carbohydrates, the next one is, here's the carbohydrate. Okay, so these, we have 4 biomolecules. 3 of them involve food: fats, proteins, and carbohydrates. Okay, all 3 of them have a conversion with hydrolysis. Okay, digestion, again, breaking down proteins into amino acids, converting fats into fatty acids, and then converting starch into glucose. Starch is how plants store huge amounts of glucose. That's how they do it. So we do it different. We do something called glycogen, which is similar to starch. But if you want to see starch, cut a potato open. That's a lot of glucose, and it's all just stored there, ready for the plant to use it. When we use glycogen, we store it in our muscles. When we're ready to use it, we break that glycogen down into glucose, or you can convert starch into glucose as well. You break it down. Okay. Here's the digestion of proteins. Okay. This has to happen in an acidic environment for it to really happen, really work. And so it happens in your stomach. You have a lot of acid in your stomach. And again, it's taking the protein and breaking it down. Here's a big protein. And breaking it down into all of its amino acids. Here's 1, here's 2, here's 3, here's 4. And then water. Okay, so now your body's going to take these amino acids and put them in a different order and make a protein that you need. Okay, so if this is your hamburger, I'm going to break this down into 4 different amino acids. Now I'm going to use these amino acids and I'm going to put them in different orders, and then I'm going to make proteins that I need. Okay, here's what they call saponification. It's taking triglyceride oils and heating them in the presence of a strong base. This is actually how they make soap. If you can see it right down here. You take this triglyceride and you add glycerol to, or you heat it up and you add sodium hydroxide. That's lye. When you mix the 2 of them together, then you end up with glycerol and soap. And again, that would have been a lab we would have done as well. Okay. So applications of those reactions, we can digest our fats. And that's usually done by an enzyme that we have in our body called lipase. And it is the first stage of the first step in digestion. The fatty acids are transported to our muscles, where then they're further broken down for more energy. And then we can retransport them. We can bring them back, use them for to store the fats and so on. Well, I can tell you I'm pretty good at storing fat. I got plenty. Okay, so a hydrolysis reaction is basically breaking down the fats, transporting to where they need to be used, and then using them in the muscles. Okay, we also have hydration and dehydration, and they're just like they sound. Hydration means adding water. Dehydration means taking away water. Okay, when you have an alcohol to produce an alkene, one of the reactions, you're going to have a loss of water, so that's going to be dehydration. Okay, in a dehydration reaction, the OH and the H are eliminated from a substance. Okay, you can see one here. We have an OH right here, and we get rid of it. And then you're going to end up with water because you take these 2 guys off. They're going to form water. Okay, so that's one way. If more than one product is possible, then you'll have fewer hydrogen bonds. But again, that's an example of a dehydration. For out of here, we took a hydrogen and hydroxide and made a water. Okay, and it's called Zaffser's rule. I know it's kind of weird, but if you do the opposite of this, then it's hydration. So again, these just deal with water. Hydration means adding it. Dehydration means taking it away. And I think we might be done. Oh no, this is in the last part of your book, you guys. Here's everything I went through. I know I went through it fast. It's not something we're going to spend a lot of time on because, again, this isn't an advanced organic class. So you can look through these, but Your assignment, you're going to get plenty of time to work on it. It'll be like a quiz, but there'll be no time limit. Okay, so that's all we're going to do for this chapter.